Today's discussion is about how we can apply natural language processing on online reviews using the tool Alteryx. But first, what is natural language processing? Natural language processing, or NLP, is a form of artificial intelligence that helps computers understand, interpret, and manipulate human language. By using NLP, we can derive meaningful insights from any text, tweets, comments, conversations, and other forms of written or verbal communication. This technology is already being utilized in common tools that we use, such as the following: language translation applications such as Google Translate, word processors such as Microsoft Word, and Grammarly that employs NLP to check grammatical accuracy of text, and personal assistant applications such as OK Google, Siri, Cortana, and Alexa. Most businesses also use NLP in different ways and different aspects. Customer service. NLP can analyze the interaction between customers and companies and point reasons which could have caused customers dissatisfaction. It is also used in deploying chatbots and automated online assistants. Reputation monitoring. Sentiment analysis on online reviews and any complaints posted on social media are used by businesses to recognize which products and services are truly worth selling. Ad placement. Keyword matching in a person's social media and e-commerce browsing behavior can help businesses tell what customers are really interested in. Market intelligence. Event extraction and sentence classification helps businesses keep informed on others' entity status through various content distribution channels. For this video, I'm going to explain how we've created a simple sentiment analysis on hotel reviews using Alteryx as the ETL tool. This sample input that we used is from Kaggle, posted by Datafinity. The dataset contains online reviews consolidated from 1,000 hotels. Apart from using a file, Alteryx can also take data from databases by configuring the input to data sources and setting the appropriate data source from SQL connections to Spark and other ODBC and other types of data connections. We can also take information from your company's Alteryx gallery. Aside from that, you can also use data from API by making use of the developer tools. We will only be needing 3 fields from this file. First, the review's rating, which has a numeric ranking of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, the review's text itself, and the review's title. Next is the Vader Sentiment Analysis macro created by Nathan Mayo as posted on the Alteryx community. This macro makes use of the Python package Vader, which is a lexicon and rule-based sentiment analysis tool that is specifically attuned to sentiments expressed in social media. It's also useful for lengthy text such as this one, wherein we will use hotel reviews. You can read more about it on their documentation posted on their GitHub page. We can also skip from using a macro and do the coding from scratch by using the Python tool on the developer's toolset in Alteryx. For convenience, we will utilize this macro for the rest of the tutorial. In setting it up, we only need to specify the text field that we need to analyze. In this case, we will first make use of the reviews.txt. The output of the macro contains the sentiment scoring. It has the percentage of negative, neutral, and positive words used in the text. The compound score is computed by summing the valence score of each word in the lexicon and then normalized to be between -1 and +1 being the highest. This metric or score is the most useful if you want a single measure of sentiment for a given sentence. But since our goal in this workflow is to have a multidimensional measure, we will make use of all scoring categories to determine the sentiment of the hotel review. Before we go over the cost to measure, let me discuss the purpose for those two multi-field formulas in our workflow. The tool multi-field formula is one of the tools from the preparation toolset. This tool is useful when you need to apply a specific expression or function to multiple fields. Rather than using multiple formula tools and configuring each field, you can just use a single expression for the selected fields. In the first multi-field formula tool, I am converting the decimal output of the Vader macro to a percentage for easier checking. This is not a necessary step, but I have added a function so we can compare each scoring with ease. To do that, you only need to tick the checkbox of each field that you'll use, then specify the function on the text box for expression. Here we are multiplying the negative, neutral, positive, and compound score by 100. The next one is not really done to configure multiple fields, but it's just to minimize the number of tools to be used. In this part, I am trying to convert both the text and the field itself from a V string to an int16. Rather than using a combination of two select tools and another formula tool, we can just minimize it to 1. Once those procedures are done, we can now set the measure based on the macro's percentage output. The goal of this function is to specify whether the text or the review is extremely positive, neutral, negative, or extremely negative. This is done so as to mimic the 1 to 5 rating that has been used on reviews, 1 being the extremely negative and 5 as extremely positive. This custom measure was decided based on the current output of the Vader macro using the hotel reviews text. The typical threshold is usually set as positive if the compound score is greater than 0.5 or negative if it's less. But since we're dealing with lengthy and varying text in online reviews, we have adjusted the threshold for this workflow. We have used a formula tool with an if-else conditional statement that sets the sentiment category on a newly added field. The conditions are as follows. If the compound score is greater than or equal to 80 and the neutral score is less than 50, or if the negative score is equal to 0 and the positive score is not equal to 0, then it's rated as extremely positive. If the positive score is greater than the negative score, then it's positive. And if the neutral score is greater than or equal to 80%, or the positive score is equal to the negative score, then it's rated as neutral. If the compound score is less than or equal to 0.01 in negative value, and the compound score is greater than or equal to negative 30, or if the neutral score is greater than 40, and the negative score would be greater than the positive score, then it's rated as a negative. And else, if the compound score is less than or equal to negative 31%, or the positive score is rated as 0, then the string is extremely negative. The rest of the scores that is not captured by those conditions will be marked as unclassified. Once we have our review sentiment category, we can now check the output. In our output QA, we can filter the possible outliers on our data and adjust the threshold if there were any significant errors. First, we grouped and counted the data by grouping the review sentiment category and then counting each text under it. In our example, positive reviews are dominant. Next, we checked if there has been marked as unclassified. In our example, we have none, but this would be essential if you are working on a new dataset. Next, let's compare the original rating versus our sentiment category. Here we have filtered out those texts marked as positive but has a score of less than or equal to 2. The output of it has 456 records. So 456 out of 10,000 records may have been marked wrong by Vader because it either has more positive words than negative, or some of the negative words were not fed by the Vader package. We can also test out if there were high rating reviews that was marked as negative by filtering out the category that contains negative and the review ratings is greater than or equal to 4, so 4 or 5. In this filter, the output is 262 records. 262 texts from our records were marked negative even after having high ratings, adding to a total of 712 records that needs to be further verified. So out of 10,000 texts, we have 15% records that has a mismatch. This means that in our dataset, our current Vader threshold is 85% accurate. For additional verification, we can also score the review's title text by doing the same method. But do rename the fields first so they don't get mixed up. Rename the fields using a select tool. Once done, you can now compare the scoring on the review and title and further analyze on how it can improve the accuracy on the sentiment scoring. For now, we can save the output to a file. You can also have several options on where you can save your finished analysis by configuring the output data and choosing a file type from Alteryx multiple supported file formats. You can also output directly to Tableau Server, Power BI, or to your Alteryx gallery.